What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Lost Tangent Outpost. My name is Spada. Let's talk about MultiVersus. As most of you know, the game has been in early access for about a week and goes into open beta on the 26th. That's today, if everything goes right and I upload this video in time. So as such, I thought I'd offer some insight and help people decide if this is a game worth downloading, worth investing time into, and ultimately worth spending money on. There's a lot to cover, so let's just jump into it. Let's start by talking about the things I'm not specifically that worried about, but I know people care about, starting with the user experience and user interface. Everything here is exactly what it needs to be, which is saying something given that in-game you have to be tracking your cooldowns and your health and that of your teammate and your opponents. So not only did they do a great job maintaining a fairly minimal gameplay interface, but you can also customize the color and layout. Beyond that, the navigation menu might take some time getting used to, but to me it was pretty straightforward. And then there's the music. I feel like they knocked it out of the park in this regard. The music in each stage is unique and matches both the aesthetic of the stage as well as the tone of the media the stage is referencing. The Batcave plays music reminiscent of the animated show and movies, as well as having a bit of a touch of injustice in some parts, if my ears aren't mistaken, that is. Then Treefort absolutely feels like a stage straight out of Adventure Time with the music to match. This can be said about every stage, and as such, I think they've nailed exactly the tone and music that they set out to. So now let's get to more of the meat of the game. Let's talk about the characters. To begin with, the voice acting is amazing. Straight up, each character is either voiced by a person that's played them in the past or played by someone who's able to do an impression of those voices to perfection. Each character is oozing with personality.
Whoa, I don't sneak up on a guy like that.
Stop talking, it's your nickel.
Then, talking about the character designs and overall looks, I just think they're remarkable, to be honest. There are characters that automatically kind of fit the art style of the game that don't require a ton of alteration to get them styled to fit. Characters like Jake and Finn and Steven and Garnet, Bugs, Tom and Jerry, all these kinds of animated characters, they all translate super well into this Disney Infinity-esque art style. But then characters that wouldn't necessarily perfectly translate have been adapted to perfection. Batman, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, Superman, and Arya Stark all look perfect. Sure, they took liberties with their designs and adapting their art styles, but they did so with such reverence for the characters and such care for their universes that you can feel how much passion went into designing and modeling each of these characters. Then when we talk about animation, again, just utter perfection. Every character uses moves and animations that pull from parts of their respective media. Even their taunts are all directly referencing aspects of the characters from other media. But adding to the fact that their actual moves themselves offer perfect utility to the characters based on who they are and their personalities, I can't imagine a better way for them to have been brought to life in this game world. Honestly, I know I'm gushing here, but I cannot praise them enough. Just look at this Superman model. I've seen him in tons of games, and he's never looked this great in any game I've ever seen him in. Alright, so now let's talk about the netcode. Now, if you've been following the game since the previous playtests and up to the current early access, you've probably seen some complaints, so I want to try to explain what I think is happening here. In previous playtests, in the early closed playtests, we were only playing with 200 to 600 players on the server at any one time, and at that time, there wasn't any real lag to speak of, at least for the most part. But then, when the second and third closed playtests happened, the amount of players shot up to about 2,000 or more at a time. This meant that there was a much heavier load on the servers, but even then it felt really solid, and any issues that popped up were handled pretty quickly. But now we're dealing with 20,000 plus people on the servers at any one time, and the first few days definitely could feel the extra congestion. But in the time since, the lag has decreased, and it feels really good for the most part. That said, the nature of the game's 2v2 main mode means that you are connecting to 4 different players, and thus sometimes one person might have a bad connection that ruins the experience for the other 3. But even considering that, given the improvements that have happened since the early access began, I foresee the netcode running to near perfection by the time the game is officially out of beta. And even then, it's still better than any other platform fighter, with the exception of maybe Brawlhalla, which, to be fair, had years to fine-tune its servers. Alright, so with all of that out of the way, now it's time to discuss what I consider to be the elephant in the room when it comes to MultiVersus, and that is, how does it being free to play affect the user experience? Is it predatory? Is it reasonable? Let's discuss. To begin with, if all you do is download the game and never spend a penny, the game gives you a lot to do just from the jump. You start off with 3 or 4 characters to play with for free, and I believe a couple of those are due to be in rotation, so depending on when you're playing, other characters may be unlocked versus the ones that are currently. But either way, you'll start off with more than half the cast locked, and to unlock them, you'll need gold, which is earned through simply playing the game and completing missions. So, in my view, while it can sometimes feel like a grind, it really doesn't take long to save up the gold to unlock all of the characters. I believe if you're determined enough, without spending a penny of real money, you can feasibly unlock the entire cast within a few days. But you have access to everyone in the lab, which is what the game considers its training room. In the lab, you will have full access to the entire roster so you can try out any character you want before you spend any gold to unlock them. There are also multiple progression systems. There's the Battle Pass progression, which resembles every Battle Pass in every game that has one, and then there is character progression, which gives you perks as you level up, unlocks gameplay aspects like shared perks with your teammate, and perk training. And then when you've maxed it out, you get a badge that shows how many wins you've earned with that character. Between these two progression systems, there are plenty of bonus items like Toast, which is a token exchange between players when they want to acknowledge other players' ability after a match. It effectively serves as a GG, and gold for unlocking characters, perks, and other cosmetic items. But then there's Glimium. Glimium is the premium currency that you spend to unlock more exclusive items. These items can only be obtained with Glimium, and Glimium costs real money. So, how does it value? Is it worth it, and does it feel predatory? I will say, up to this point, everything in the game that I've talked about basically feels perfect. I can't really expect anything else from a game, especially from one that's free to play. However, Glimium is where things get a little awkward, though not much. So there are Founders Packs available currently for the game that give you a range of cosmetic rewards, character tickets to bypass the character unlocking mechanisms, and give you Glimium to start with. The exchange rate for Glimium is dependent on which package of it that you buy, aside from what you get with the Founders Packs, assuming you get one. But effectively, it averages out to about $1 per 100 Glimium. So what can you buy with Glimium? Specifically, you can buy a lot. Announcer packs, costumes, profile pictures, ring out effects, basically all cosmetic, non-gameplay related stuff. Things that allow you to customize your experience. Announcer packs are all about 100 Glimium, so each one of them effectively costs about $1, which seems fairly reasonable to me. Any character in the game can serve as a commentator for your gameplay, and I think that's dope. And $1 isn't too bad to pay in my view. It's when we get to the skins that I start struggling a bit to justify it. So some skins cost as little as 500 Glimium, which is effectively $5, and that doesn't seem too bad for me for a free-to-play game. But others cost upward of 1,500 to 2,000 Glimium, and to me, that seems extreme. Now, I don't play Fortnite, and I've never played Valorant, and I abhor the free-to-play system in Brawlhalla, since effectively nothing interesting gets unlocked through regular gameplay. But in MultiVersus, there are plenty of cool cosmetic items and things to unlock that you can do without spending any money. So you're already getting a better value just from the jump. But I just feel like $15 to $20 is a lot to ask for someone to spend on a costume on its own. If the costume has its own unique voice acting attached to it, which some do, then it's absolutely reasonable. You're paying for more than just a skin after all. But for just a skin, I don't know. Now, that could just be me, so I'm not gonna knock the game for it, but if I had any criticisms to offer for MultiVersus, it would be Glimium rates. Not that I think that they're terrible, but I do think that they're a bit on the excessive side, so I'd like to see them reevaluate this. But that said, should you download this game? Fuck yes, do it. You won't regret it. Even if you never spend a penny on it, it's absolutely worth trying and investing time into. It's a deep platform fighter with systems that resemble games from other fighting game genres like Marvel vs. Capcom and Guilty Gear. It's got a fantastic cancel combo system that's super fun to experiment with. Every character feels fantastic and unique, and not to mention true to the media from which they hail. Every stage is crafted with affection, with music perfectly fitting the atmosphere. The game is absolutely just a great game on its own. But is it worth buying the Founders Packs? Is it worth buying Glimium to unlock cosmetics? I mean, I say that's entirely up to you. I would like to see them take another look at the costs of some of the items, but that said, I bought the Premium Founders Pack myself, and I don't regret it. If you feel passionate about this game like I do and want to support the dev team and show Warner Brothers that this is something that they should continue investing in, I say do it. You don't have to buy the Premium Pack, even just buying the Standard Pack does a ton to help support their efforts. And either way, I would, at the very least, recommend participating in the Battle Passes. The Deluxe and Premium Founders Packs come with some Battle Pass tokens, so your first season or 3 are included. But beyond that, if you'd be willing to do a Battle Pass for something like Fortnite, there's no question that this game has the value in its Battle Pass progression system to justify it here. So that's it. This is a long one, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have you played the game? What are your thoughts? I look forward to hearing all of your thoughts down in the comments down below. I hope everyone has a great one. Until next time. Later.
Yes! An excellent victory.
Continue?